Let's explore autistic history and the Autism Wars. This is part 39 of a series. Oh, the pushback is getting fierce here in the 90s towards autistics from organizers of these conferences and these autism organizations that are parent run. So I'm going to jump right back in where we left off, where the ANIL, or the list server, was felt as a safe space for autistics. They realized was being reported back to these folks, and so autistics felt like they had lost a piece of their online home security. And I'm going to pick up in this next paragraph right here. In many ways, our participation in this conference was a horribly unpleasant ordeal. Horribly unpleasant is how it's being described here. So there was no question of our ever agreeing to work with that organization and its conferences again. And yet the time we got to spend with each other was precious, as always. The presentations in the ANI strand were stimulating, meaningful, and valuable to many people. Our panel presentation on autistic self-understanding drew a standing room only crowd, and so many people came and saw it. People took it seriously and let it touch them. Half the audience, and also half the panel, was in tears by the time it was over. Aww. The panelists talked about many things that we really wanted the parents to understand, and the parents were willing and eager to let us teach them. We could be so much more than self-narrating zoo exhibits. We've come a long way. There was one very significant difference between our online community's reaction to the problems with the conference organizers and the reaction to the online snore wars. At the time, ANIL was founded less than 2 years earlier. The snore wars, bitter conflict between autistic people and non-autistic parents and professionals occurring in an NT-dominated forum, had a polarizing effect within ANI. A significant number of the autistic people involved reacted with resentment and distrust towards non-autistic people in general. They argued that the new ANIL forum would not feel safe to them if NT parents and professionals were allowed to join. This became a source of conflict between autistic people who wanted an autistic-only forum and those who wanted a more inclusive one. We worked together to respond to those concerns by developing the detailed ANIL forum rules, thus managing to keep our community from being torn apart by the conflict. So the Autism Wars is affecting the autistic community and defining how they want their space managed and the level of boundaries put in for non-autistics. So yeah, it's a lot. So in the negative fallout from the 1995 conference, there was once again bitter conflict and mutual resentment between some autistic people and cousins, ANI members who felt we had been treated badly at the conference by the conference organizers, and some non-autistic parents and professionals, conference organizers, who were offended by our demands to be respected as equals. But this conflict did not result in an anti-NT backlash among ANI members, mostly because this time a number of NT parents and professionals were accepted members of our ANIL. Our NT members supported us, commiserated with us on ANIL, wrote letters in our support to the conference organizers, tried to comfort the person who received the abusive phone call, and expressed their own feelings of dismay and betrayal at the violation of forum confidentiality. Sometime during our first year online, our NT members had stopped being guests and had become part of our community. So what we're seeing here is an incredible bond in this community by allies, parent allies, and autistics together against these conference organizers and the sheer hell that they were laying down at the feet of autistics because they did not conform. They were not compliant to their agenda and their goals, and so therefore they had to be silenced, right? So back to the article, ever onward. There was also a very significant parallel between our response to the Snore Wars and our response to the conference conflict. The Snore Wars occurred because our community had discovered and embraced online mailing lists as a vehicle for making connections. But our ways of connecting were not accepted by the NT-dominated online forum where we were trying to do it. So we created an AC-dominated online forum, and AC stands for Autistics and Cousins, and ANIL forums, giving ourselves our own place to connect in our own ways. The conflict surrounding the conference occurred because our community was discovering and embracing the possibilities of being active participants in autism conferences, of adapting conference environments and procedures to suit our own needs, of producing conference presentations that addressed our own interests. But our initiatives were not accepted by the organizers of the NT-dominated conference where we tried to advance them. And so we decided it was time to create our own autistic conference. And this next section is titled OTREAT, Community in Physical Space. Finding a space. The idea of autistic space remained a guiding theme as we prepared for this new step in the autistic community development. We searched for a place that we could have to ourselves without being surrounded by distracting NT activity. We wanted autistic children to be able to come and meet autistic adults. We liked the idea of a complete immersion, having conference activities, meals, and lodging all in the same venue, rather than having to move back and forth every day between our autistic space and the NT world. In the course of our discussion, some members pointed out the importance of having not just a building, but also outdoor space where people could move around. It had to be considerably less expensive than a traditional hotel. The concept of an autistic retreat began to take shape. Autreat. After much searching, we found a children's summer camp that was available for rentals after the end of the summer season. It was in a rural area, several miles from the nearest city. There were hiking trails and woods, a pond, and the pool for swimming. Staff from the camp provided childcare. The first OTREAT took place in late August 1996, beginning on a Sunday afternoon and lasting 2 days. About 50 people attended, autistic adults, some on their own, and some with family members or caregivers, autistic children with their families, parents of autistic people of all ages, and a professional or two. We met at that same camp every year through 2000. Now I'm going to pick it back up here in the next video about OTREAT and what was going on there, an autistic run conference. I'm telling you, it's got to be a lot different already. We can tell from the description. But thank you for learning a little bit more of autistic history in the Autism Wars with me, and we'll see you next video.